The critical failure. Ava tightened the seal on her biosuit with practiced hands. As an engineer stationed on the remote alien outpost of Vexus 9, routine inspections of the perimeter were second nature to her. The planet's atmosphere was hostile to human lungs, a toxic blend of gases that could kill in minutes. Her biosuit was her lifeline, her second skin, and she trusted it with her life. The day began like any other. Ava was conducting her usual rounds, ensuring the outpost's external systems were functioning smoothly. The alien technology integrated with human systems required constant monitoring, and Ava had become an expert at navigating the complexities. As she scanned the control panels on the outer wall, the biosuit's HUD lit up with a warning. Critical failure detected. Oxygen levels depleting. Ava froze. Her breathing quickened as she checked the suit's status. The oxygen reserves were dropping rapidly, and the seal integrity indicator flashed red. Panic clawed at her throat, but she forced herself to stay calm. She was several hundred meters from the airlock. Running wasn't an option. The suit would burn through her oxygen faster. She took a slow, deliberate step toward the outpost. Every step felt like a gamble, her boots sinking into the thick, dust-like surface of Vexus 9. The alien environment seemed to mock her vulnerability. Ava's HUD displayed an estimated 2 minutes of oxygen remaining. She tapped into the suit's emergency reserves, buying herself a little more time. Come on, she muttered, her voice muffled within the helmet. The outpost's airlock came into view, a beacon of hope. Her legs burned, and her lungs felt as if they were already running out of air. The suit's alarms were relentless now, the shrill beeping a cruel reminder of how little time she had left. She stumbled, catching herself on one knee, and looked up. The airlock was only a few meters away. Summoning every ounce of strength, Ava pushed herself forward. She reached the airlock, slammed her palm against the access panel, and stumbled inside. The doors hissed shut behind her, and the chamber pressurized with clean, breathable air. Ava ripped off her helmet, gasping as the first lungful of oxygen filled her chest. She leaned against the wall, her heart pounding. Something wasn't right. The suit wasn't old. It had been fully calibrated just a week ago. A malfunction like this wasn't just unlikely. It was nearly impossible. After catching her breath, Ava dragged herself to the engineering bay. She set the damaged suit on the examination table, the metal surface cool against her fingertips. The outpost was eerily silent, the hum of machinery her only company. Ava connected the suit to the diagnostic terminal, her fingers flying across the keyboard. The results sent a chill down her spine. The oxygen valve wasn't damaged by wear and tear. It had been tampered with. The logs showed irregular adjustments made to the suit's systems while she wasn't wearing it. Someone, or something, had sabotaged her. Ava's thoughts raced. She was the only human on this outpost, stationed alongside a team of maintenance drones. The alien species that once inhabited Vexus 9 were long gone, their ruins scattered across the desolate landscape. But could there still be someone here? Or was this sabotage from a more familiar source? One of her superiors back on Earth. The possibility that this wasn't an accident filled her with dread. As she continued examining the suit, she noticed something strange. Embedded within the oxygen valve was a small device she had never seen before. It was no larger than a coin, its surface etched with intricate alien markings. Ava carefully removed the device, her hands trembling slightly. She placed it under the scanner, hoping for answers. The terminal hummed as it analyzed the object. After a few tense moments, the screen displayed the results. Unknown technology. Encryption detected. Ava stared at the words, her mind racing. Why was this device in her biosuit? Who put it there? And most importantly, what did it mean? Her instincts told her that this was just the beginning of something much bigger than a simple malfunction. Before she could delve further, a soft sound broke the silence. A faint rustling echoed through the outpost. Ava froze, her heart pounding. She wasn't alone. Grabbing a tool from the workbench, she moved cautiously toward the source of the noise. The sound was coming from the corridor leading to the airlock. She peeked around the corner but saw nothing. Still, the unease gnawed at her. Returning to the engineering bay, Ava secured the alien device in a containment unit. She needed answers, but first, she had to ensure her safety. The outpost's sensors hadn't detected any breaches, but Ava knew better than to trust them completely. Sitting at the terminal, she began encrypting a message to Earth. She needed to report the sabotage and the mysterious device. As her fingers hovered over the keyboard, another thought struck her. If this device was meant to kill her, why had it failed? Was it a warning? Or was someone, or something, testing her? Ava's eyes flicked to the containment unit holding the device. Whatever secrets it held, she was determined to uncover them. Little did she know, those secrets would change everything she thought she knew about her mission, her outpost, and herself. The encrypted message. The engineering bay buzzed with a low hum as Ava stared at the containment unit housing the alien device. Her mind churned with unanswered questions. Who would sabotage her biosuit? And why? Her only clue was the coin-sized device, its surface covered with alien glyphs that seemed to shift under the faint glow of the terminal's light. Determined to make sense of the situation, Ava set up the device for a deep scan. The terminal flickered as it processed the encryption, throwing up errors with every attempt. Frustrated but undeterred, Ava began cross-referencing the symbols on the device with the outpost's limited database of alien languages. Vexus 9 had been uninhabited for centuries, but fragments of its history were preserved in ancient texts collected during human exploration. As the hours ticked by, Ava's persistence paid off. One of the glyphs matched a forgotten dialect, linked to a race known only as the Zintheri, mysterious beings who vanished long before humans ventured into space. Legends whispered of their advanced technology and their obsession with secrets. Ava's pulse quickened. If this device was Zintheri, it could hold unimaginable knowledge or unimaginable danger. The terminal finally pinged, breaking Ava's train of thought. Decryption partially successful, the AI reported. The screen filled with fragmented text interspersed with static-like distortions. Ava leaned in, her eyes scanning the words. Coordinates, keeper of secrets. Trust no one. Her heart skipped a beat. Coordinates? To what? And who, or what, was the keeper of secrets? The warning to trust no one sent a shiver down her spine. She was the only human on the outpost, surrounded by drones and alien relics. Who was there to trust or distrust? Before Ava could process the message further, the lights in the engineering bay flickered. A sharp static crackled through the intercom. She froze, her hand instinctively moving to her multi-tool. The outpost's systems were supposed to be foolproof, shielded from external interference. Yet something, or someone, was breaching them. What's causing the power fluctuations? Ava asked, her voice steady, despite the knot in her stomach. Unknown interference detected. The AI responded. Origin. External. Proximity. Near the airlock. Ava's breath caught. Her thoughts immediately jumped to the faint rustling she'd heard earlier. Someone, or something, was out there. She quickly secured the alien device in her toolkit and grabbed a handheld scanner. If the outpost was compromised, she needed to know by whom and why. The corridor leading to the airlock was eerily silent. The only sound was the faint hiss of her breathing. Her scanner beeped softly, picking up traces of energy signatures. She followed the trail, her footsteps light against the metallic floor. When she reached the airlock, she stopped. The external cameras were still active, displaying the barren landscape of Vexus 9. But there, just at the edge of the camera's range, was movement. It was faint, like a shimmer in the air, as if the environment itself was bending and twisting. Ava adjusted the scanner, setting it to detect cloaking technology. The results made her stomach churn. The shimmer wasn't a natural phenomenon. It was a cloaked entity, humanoid in shape but distinctly alien in nature. It lingered just beyond the airlock, observing. Activate the perimeter defenses, Ava whispered. Unable to comply. System override detected, the eye replied. The word sent a chill down her spine. Whoever, or whatever, was outside had disabled the outpost's defenses. Ava stepped back, her mind racing. She couldn't confront the intruder directly, not without understanding its intentions. Instead, she hurried back to the engineering bay, her thoughts swirling. The alien device, the encrypted message, the cloaked figure, everything was connected. She needed more answers, and she knew where to start. Plugging the coordinates from the decrypted message into the terminal, Ava found that they pointed to a location far beyond the mapped regions of Vexus 9. The area was riddled with hazards, unstable terrain, toxic gas pockets, and electromagnetic storms. Yet something about the location drew her in. It wasn't just curiosity. It was a pull, as if the device wanted her to find whatever lay hidden there. The AI interrupted her thoughts. Incoming transmission detected, it said. Ava frowned. Communications on Vexus 9 were strictly regulated, and the outpost wasn't scheduled for any contact. She hesitated before accepting the transmission. The screen flickered, and a distorted image appeared, a humanoid figure shrouded in shadows. Its voice was deep and resonant, speaking in a language Ava didn't understand. The terminal's translator struggled to keep up, producing only fragmented words. Human, device, keeper, danger. The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving Ava staring at the blank screen. She clenched her fists, frustration and fear bubbling within her. Whoever that was, they knew about the device, and they didn't seem friendly. Ava's gaze drifted back to the toolkit holding the alien artifact. The encrypted message had warned her not to trust anyone, but she was beginning to realize that she might have no choice but to trust herself. If she stayed on the outpost, she was a sitting target, but venturing to the coordinates could lead her straight into the heart of a trap. Taking a deep breath, Ava made her decision. She secured the device, gathered her supplies, and prepared her modified biosuit for the journey ahead. Whatever secrets the Zinthari left behind, she was determined to uncover them, even if it meant facing the unknown. As she stepped into the airlock once more, Ava felt a sense of resolve. The coordinates were her only lead, and the answers she sought lay beyond the horizon. But in the back of her mind, a question lingered. Was she walking into a discovery or a disaster? The intruder. The night on Vexus 9 was unnervingly silent, broken only by the faint hum of the outpost's automated systems. Ava sat at her workstation, her thoughts spiraling as she reviewed the encrypted message and the mysterious transmission from earlier. The coordinates were still flashing on her terminal, a beacon pulling her toward answers. But something about the encounter outside the airlock gnawed at her. Who, or what, was watching her? The faint sound of static on the intercom made her freeze. It wasn't uncommon for the outpost systems to glitch, but this sound was different. It wasn't random noise. It was rhythmic, almost deliberate. Ava turned her chair toward the door, every nerve on edge. She whispered, keeping her voice low. Run a full sweep of the external sensors. Detect any movement. The AI took a moment to respond, its usual crisp tone slightly distorted. External sensors report no movement within the outpost perimeter. Ava frowned. Her instincts told her otherwise. She rose from her chair and grabbed her handheld scanner, adjusting it to detect cloaking technology. The shimmer she had seen earlier replayed in her mind, a haunting reminder that something was out there. As she crept through the corridors, her scanner beeped softly, picking up faint energy readings. They were weak, as if whatever was generating them was just on the edge of detection. Ava followed the signal to the storage bay, the outpost's largest and most isolated room. The bay's towering shelves cast long, jagged shadows in the dim light. Ava's footsteps were soft, her breath steady but shallow. The scanner beeped louder as she approached the center of the room. She adjusted the frequency, narrowing the search. Then she saw it, a faint distortion in the air, like ripples in water. It was standing just a few meters away, unmoving but undeniably present. Ava's heart pounded in her chest. She gripped her multi-tool tightly, her mind racing through her options. She was alone, unarmed, and facing an unknown entity. Activate the emergency lockdown for the storage bay, she whispered. Unable to comply, the AI replied. System override detected. The same override that had disabled the perimeter defenses. Whoever, or whatever, this was, they were inside the outpost's systems. Ava's eyes darted to the nearest control panel. If the AI couldn't help, she would have to disable the intruder manually. As she reached for the panel, the distortion shifted. The cloaked figure moved, its outline becoming sharper for a split second. Ava caught a glimpse of an elongated humanoid shape, taller and thinner than any human. Its movements were deliberate, almost graceful, as it approached. "Stay back," Ava shouted, her voice echoing in the cavernous room. She brandished her multi-tool, though she knew it would do little against an advanced alien being. To her surprise, the figure stopped. For a moment, there was silence. Then, a voice broke through the static-filled intercom. "Human," it said, the word distorted but recognizable. "Do not interfere." Ava's grip on her tool tightened. "Interfere with what?" she demanded. "Who are you?" The figure didn't respond. Instead, it raised a slender arm, pointing toward her toolkit. The alien device. Ava instinctively stepped back, placing herself between the figure and the artifact. "You want the device," she said, her voice steady despite her fear. "Why? What is it?" The figure tilted its head, as if considering her words. Then it spoke again, its tone colder this time. "The device is not yours. Leave this place." Ava's mind raced. If the device was as valuable as the intruder suggested, it confirmed her suspicions that she had stumbled onto something much bigger than herself. But she wasn't about to back down. She needed answers, and running wasn't an option. "Tell me what the Keeper of Secrets is," she said, her voice firm, "and why it sent me coordinates." At the mention of the Keeper, the figure froze. The distortion around it shimmered, and Ava thought she saw a flash of what lay beneath the cloak: metallic skin, glowing blue eyes, and intricate patterns etched into its body. It wasn't just an alien. It was synthetic, a living machine. "You speak of things you do not understand," the figure said. "The Keeper's knowledge is forbidden. You are unworthy." Ava's anger flared. "Unworthy? I've survived this toxic wasteland, repaired ancient tech, and uncovered your secrets. If anyone's worthy, it's me." The figure hesitated, as if weighing her words. Then, without warning, it activated a device on its wrist. The room filled with a low-frequency hum, and Ava's scanner went haywire. The alien was scrambling her equipment, rendering her tools useless. But Ava was nothing if not resourceful. She grabbed a nearby power module from one of the shelves and hurled it at the figure. The module struck the cloaking field, causing a burst of sparks. The figure staggered, its form briefly revealed in full. Ava didn't waste a second. She darted toward the control panel and triggered a manual override, sealing the storage bay. The figure turned to her, its glowing eyes locking onto hers. "This is not over, human," it said before activating a teleportation device on its wrist. In an instant, it disappeared, leaving Ava alone in the room. Ava slumped against the wall, her heart racing. The encounter had left her shaken but resolute. Whoever the intruder was, they were desperate to retrieve the alien device, and terrified of what she might uncover. As she returned to the engineering bay, Ava knew one thing for certain. The coordinates weren't just a lead. They were a challenge. Whatever secrets the Keeper held, Ava was determined to uncover them. But she couldn't shake the feeling that she had just made a powerful enemy, and that the real danger was only beginning. The chase, The decision to leave the outpost weighed heavily on Ava, but she knew there was no turning back. The encrypted coordinates and the alien intruder's desperate attempt to retrieve the device made it clear. There was something out there, something vital. The keeper of secrets, whatever it was, held the answers she sought. And if the intruder wanted to stop her, it only reinforced her resolve. After hours of preparation, Ava stood at the edge of the outpost's perimeter, her repaired biosuit gleaming under the faint light of Vexus 9's twin moons. The modifications she made were a gamble: enhanced energy shields, emergency oxygen reserves, and a built-in scanning module. But they were all she had. She double-checked her supplies. Rations, tools, the alien device secured in her toolkit, and a compact plasma cutter for emergencies. The journey to the coordinates was treacherous. Vexus 9 was a planet of extremes, its terrain riddled with jagged cliffs, unstable ground, and toxic gas pockets. The electromagnetic storms that frequently swept the surface could fry her suit's systems in seconds. Ava pulled up the navigation display on her HUD. The coordinates lay beyond a vast canyon, deep in uncharted territory. "Aye," she said, her voice steady despite the knot in her stomach. "Keep scanning for energy signatures or movement." "Affirmative," the eye replied, its tone clipped but functional. No threats detected within the immediate area. Ava took her first step into the unknown, the soft crunch of alien soil beneath her boots the only sound. The outpost disappeared behind her as she descended into the canyon, her helmet lights casting eerie shadows on the jagged walls. The air here was even denser, her suit working overtime to filter out toxins. As she moved deeper into the canyon, Ava's scanner began picking up faint energy readings. They were irregular, flickering in and out like a dying signal. She paused, adjusting the scanner's frequency to pinpoint the source. The readings led her to a cluster of crystalline structures jutting out from the canyon floor. They pulsed faintly, emitting an otherworldly glow. "These aren't natural," Ava muttered, kneeling to examine one of the crystals. The scanner confirmed her suspicions. The crystals were Xantharian origin, remnants of their long-lost civilization. But what were they doing here, so far from any known ruins? Before she could investigate further, her HUD flashed a warning. "Movement detected. Proximity 200 meters." Ava's pulse quickened. She rose to her feet, scanning the darkness. Her suit's sensors detected something large moving toward her. The faint shimmer of a cloaking field flickered in the distance. It was the same entity from the outpost, or perhaps another of its kind. "Aye, amplify shield output and prepare evasive maneuvers," Ava ordered, her voice firm. The shimmer grew closer, and Ava realized there were two cloaked figures now, their outlines barely visible against the dark canyon walls. They were flanking her, trying to box her in. Ava tightened her grip on her plasma cutter. She knew she couldn't fight them head-on, but she could outthink them. She darted toward the crystal formations, using their jagged shapes for cover. The figures followed, their movements unnervingly precise. Ava's heart pounded as she weaved through the crystals, her scanner alerting her to their every step. Suddenly, one of the figures fired a pulse of energy. It struck a crystal near Ava, shattering it into a burst of glowing shards. Ava ducked, narrowly avoiding the blast. The shards scattered, illuminating the canyon in brief flashes of light. For a moment, she caught a clear glimpse of her pursuers. Their metallic forms glinted in the glow, their glowing eyes locked onto her. Ava spotted a narrow crevice between two towering crystals. It was a tight fit, but it could provide temporary refuge. She squeezed through, the edges scraping against her suit. Her HUD flashed warnings about shield strain, but she ignored them. The figures hesitated, their larger frames unable to follow her into the crevice. For a moment, Ava allowed herself to breathe, but the reprieve was short-lived. Her HUD detected an incoming energy surge. The figures were charging a weapon, likely to collapse the crystal structure and flush her out. "Think, Ava," she whispered to herself, her mind racing. Her gaze fell on the shattered crystal shards scattered around her. They were still glowing faintly, their energy readings spiking. An idea formed in her mind. She quickly gathered the shards, placing them into a containment module. If she could overload them, she might be able to create an energy pulse strong enough to disrupt the cloaking fields and disable her pursuers. It was risky. Too much energy could backfire, but she had no choice. Ava connected the module to her suit's power supply, carefully regulating the energy transfer. The shards began to hum, their glow intensifying. Her HUD flashed warnings about power drain, but Ava ignored them. The moment the module reached critical capacity, she hurled it out of the crevice. It landed near the figures, emitting a high-pitched whine. The figures paused, seemingly aware of the danger. Then, with a deafening crack, the module detonated. A wave of energy rippled through the canyon, illuminating everything in blinding light. Ava shielded her eyes as the shockwave passed. When she looked again, the cloaked figures were visible, their fields disrupted. Sparks flew from their forms as they staggered, their systems overloaded. Ava didn't wait to see if they recovered. She scrambled out of the crevice and sprinted deeper into the canyon, her heart pounding. As she ran, the coordinates on her HUD drew closer. The energy pulse had bought her time, but she knew her pursuers wouldn't stay down for long. Whatever lay at the coordinates had to be worth the risk. And as Ava pressed forward, the faint glow of an entrance carved into the canyon wall came into view. The Keeper's domain was near, but so were the dangers that guarded it. The Keeper of Secrets. The carved entrance loomed ahead, its ancient structure glowing faintly with the same crystalline energy Ava had encountered in the canyon. The jagged, angular design radiated an aura of purpose, as if it had been waiting for someone, or something, for centuries. Ava hesitated for a moment, her breath steadying as she gazed at the threshold. The coordinates had led her here, but every instinct screamed at her to be cautious. She wasn't alone on this journey, and her pursuers were likely regrouping. Ava whispered, her voice echoing slightly within her helmet. Run a structural analysis of the entrance, any traps or energy fluctuations. The AI hummed for a moment. Analysis indicates no active defenses within the immediate vicinity. However, the structure is emitting a low-frequency energy signal consistent with Xanthari technology. Ava nodded. That low-frequency hum reverberated in her chest as if the structure itself was alive. Adjusting her suit's scanner, she stepped cautiously into the entrance. The air immediately changed, shifting from the harsh, toxic winds of Vexus 9 to a stillness so profound it felt unnatural. Her suit registered breathable air, a phenomenon that was impossible outside the shielded confines of the outpost. The corridor was vast, its walls lined with intricate glyphs that pulsed faintly, reacting to her presence. Ava trailed her fingers lightly across the surface, feeling warmth beneath her gloves. The glyphs told a story, fragmented and ancient. She activated her suit's recording module to capture the details for later analysis. The further she walked, the more the glyphs became erratic, as if the story they were telling was spiraling into chaos. Images of towering machines and a race of humanoid figures were interspersed with depictions of destruction, a planet shattering, skies burning, and rivers of molten light carving through alien landscapes. Ava felt a chill despite the warmth of her suit. The Xanthari had been wiped out, but by what? Or by whom? Ahead, the corridor opened into a vast chamber. The room's centerpiece was a towering crystalline structure, shaped like a spire that stretched into the unseen heights of the cavern. It pulsed with energy, casting shifting patterns of light across the room. At its base was an interface panel, glowing faintly with a welcoming green hue. Any signs of hostiles? Ava asked, her voice low. Negative. The area appears secure, the eye replied. Ava approached the spire cautiously. The closer she got, the more her suit's sensors reacted, displaying readings that fluctuated wildly. The spire wasn't just a relic. It was active, alive and aware of her presence. She reached out, her gloved hand hovering over the interface. The moment her fingers brushed the panel, the chamber roared to life. The glyphs on the walls blazed with light. The spire's hum deepened, and a voice filled the air, not mechanical, but organic and resonant, as if the room itself was speaking. "Human," the voice said, low and commanding. "You have come seeking the keeper of secrets." Ava stepped back instinctively, her heart pounding. "Who? What are you?" she asked, her voice steadied despite the surge of adrenaline. "I am the keeper," the voice replied. "Custodian of the Zinthuri's final knowledge. The artifact you carry was designed to guide you here. Only those deemed worthy may unlock what remains." Ava glanced down at her toolkit, where the alien device rested. "Why me?" she asked. "I'm just an engineer. I didn't even know about this until a few days ago." The keeper's tone shifted, becoming almost contemplative. The Zinthuri foresaw the rise of the Watchers, those who would exploit knowledge for domination. They entrusted their legacy not to the powerful, but to the curious. You possess the courage to question and the ingenuity to endure. That is why you were chosen. Ava's mind raced. The Watchers. That term had appeared in the encrypted message. "The Watchers," she said. "They've already found me. They try to stop me from coming here. They will stop at nothing to claim this knowledge," the keeper said. "But what lies here is not meant for them. It is meant for those who would safeguard it." The spire's glow intensified, and a holographic projection filled the chamber. Ava saw a map of the galaxy, with countless stars blinking in and out of existence. At the center was a singular point, marked with a symbol that matched the glyphs on the alien device. "This is the core of the Zinthuri legacy," the keeper continued. "A repository of advanced technology, knowledge, and the key to resisting the Watchers. But its location is hidden, encrypted within the device you carry." Ava stepped closer, her eyes fixed on the projection. "What do I need to do?" The keeper's light dimmed slightly, as if bracing for what it was about to say. "To unlock the device, you must integrate it with the spire, but doing so will alert the Watchers to its activation. They are already near, and they will come for you." Ava's breath caught in her throat. She had suspected this journey would come at a cost, but the stakes were higher than she imagined. Still, the thought of abandoning her mission didn't sit right with her. She had come this far, faced impossible odds, and uncovered secrets that could change everything. "I'll do it," Ava said, her voice firm. "If the Watchers come, I'll be ready." The keeper's light flared, and the interface panel opened to reveal a slot perfectly shaped for the alien device. Ava retrieved it from her toolkit, her hand steadied despite the weight of the moment. As she placed the device into the slot, the chamber trembled, the spire's hum rising to a crescendo. Suddenly, the voice of the keeper spoke again, its tone urgent. "Prepare yourself, human. The Watchers are coming." Ava's HUD lit up with proximity alerts. The Watchers had found her. The chase wasn't over. It was only beginning. The final test. The chamber shook as the spire's energy surged, its crystalline surface pulsing with a blinding intensity. Ava barely had time to process the keeper's warning before her HUD lit up with proximity alerts. The Watchers had arrived. "Aye," Ava said, her voice calm but urgent. "How many are approaching?" The AI's response was grim. 4 signatures detected, humanoid in structure, cloaking fields active, proximity 500 meters and closing. Ava's heart raced. She wasn't just outnumbered, she was cornered. The only exit from the chamber was the way she had entered, and the Watchers were already closing in. She turned to the keeper's spire, its glow intensifying as it integrated the alien device she had placed moments ago. "What happens when the device fully integrates?" she asked, her voice steady despite the tremor in the ground. "The integration will unlock the coordinates to the Zinthuri's final repository," the keeper replied. "But it will take time. You must hold them off." Ava clenched her jaw. Time was a luxury she didn't have. Her suit's scanners were already picking up faint distortions near the entrance, signs of cloaked figures moving into position. She scanned the room, searching for anything she could use to her advantage. The chamber was vast, its walls lined with pulsating glyphs and smaller crystal formations that hummed in resonance with the spire. "Keeper," Ava said, a plan forming in her mind. "Can the spire's energy be redirected?" The keeper's voice hesitated, as if considering her request. "Yes, but doing so will destabilize the integration process. The coordinates may be incomplete." "It doesn't matter," Ava said firmly. "If I don't survive, the coordinates are useless anyway. Redirect the energy to the outer chamber. I'll handle the rest." The keeper complied, and the spire's glow dimmed slightly as energy surged toward the walls. Ava felt a vibration beneath her boots as the glyphs on the walls brightened, their patterns shifting in response. She knew she couldn't rely on brute force to win this fight. The Watchers were too advanced, their technology superior. But if she could manipulate the environment, she might have a chance. The first Watcher appeared, its cloaking field flickering as it entered the chamber. The metallic figure was taller than she remembered, its elongated limbs gleaming in the spire's light. It moved with an eerie precision, its glowing blue eyes scanning the room. Ava didn't wait for it to act. She darted behind one of the larger crystal formations, her suit's shield humming softly as she prepared for the inevitable confrontation. The Watcher raised its arm, a weapon emerging from its wrist. It fired a pulse of energy that struck the crystal near Ava, shattering it into shards. The blast sent her tumbling to the ground, but she quickly recovered, her mind racing. The shards scattered across the floor, glowing faintly. Ava's eyes widened as she realized their potential. She grabbed a handful of the shards, her suit's gauntlet sparking as she overrode its power regulator. The shards began to hum, their energy building rapidly. Ava hurled them toward the Watcher just as it prepared to fire again. The shards exploded on impact, a burst of energy that disrupted its systems and sent it staggering. The victory was short-lived. Two more Watchers entered the chamber, their movements synchronized as they flanked her. Ava ducked behind another crystal, her HUD flashing warnings about shield depletion. She needed to think faster. "Keeper," she shouted, "can the crystals in this chamber be weaponized?" "Affirmative," the Keeper replied. "Channeling energy through the crystals can create a localized detonation. You must place them strategically." Ava's mind raced as she grabbed more shards and began planting them around the room, creating a makeshift trap. The Watchers advanced, their weapons firing with deadly accuracy. Ava's shield flickered, each hit bringing her closer to vulnerability. She gritted her teeth and kept moving, her survival instincts kicking in. The fourth Watcher entered the chamber, its presence a reminder of the odds stacked against her. Ava triggered the first trap, a cascade of energy detonating near one of the Watchers. The blast sent it crashing into a wall, its limbs sparking. But the others pressed on, relentless in their pursuit. The spire's glow intensified, and the Keeper's voice filled the chamber. "Integration at 75%. Hold them off a little longer." Ava's breath came in ragged gasps as she fought to stay ahead of the Watchers. She activated another trap, the explosion sending shards of crystal flying through the air. One of the Watchers faltered, its systems glitching, but the remaining two were undeterred. They moved with precision, herding her toward the center of the chamber. She reached into her toolkit, her fingers brushing against the plasma cutter. It wasn't designed for combat, but it was better than nothing. Ava activated the cutter, its blade glowing fiercely as she faced the advancing Watchers. The first swung at her with blinding speed, but Ava ducked, slashing at its leg. Sparks flew as the blade cut through its alloy, slowing its movements. The second Watcher fired a pulse, striking Ava's shoulder. Her shield failed, and pain lanced through her arm. She stumbled but didn't fall, determination driving her forward. She triggered the final trap, the explosion catching both Watchers in its radius. They staggered, their systems disrupted but not destroyed. "Integration complete," the Keeper announced. Coordinates unlocked. You must leave now. Ava didn't need to be told twice. She bolted for the exit, the coordinates downloading into her suit's systems. The Watchers, though damaged, began to pursue, their movements erratic but still deadly. As Ava reached the corridor, the Keeper's voice echoed one last time. The path ahead is dangerous, but the choice to follow it is yours. The Zinthari's legacy depends on you. The chamber behind her began to collapse, the spire's energy destabilizing the structure. Ava didn't look back. She sprinted into the canyon, her mind focused on the next step. The coordinates were only the beginning, and the Watchers wouldn't stop until they had what she carried. But Ava wasn't about to let them win. The Keeper's secrets were hers to protect, and she intended to see the journey through, no matter the cost. The unexpected outcome. Ava ran through the narrow canyon, the coordinates glowing faintly on her HUD as the chamber behind her crumbled into chaos. The Watchers were still on her trail, their metallic forms shimmering with residual energy from the detonations in the Keeper's chamber. She didn't dare look back. Every second counted, and the path ahead was littered with unstable terrain and toxic gas pockets. The Keeper's words echoed in her mind. The path ahead is dangerous, but the choice to follow it is yours. Ava gritted her teeth, her focus locked on the glowing waypoint marking the coordinates. She didn't have the luxury of hesitation. Her suit's AI interrupted her thoughts. Multiple hostiles closing in. Estimated contact, 90 seconds. Noted, Ava muttered, scanning the terrain for anything she could use. The canyon walls were jagged, lined with crystalline growths that pulsed faintly. She knew they could be weaponized, but the risk of triggering a chain reaction was high. It was a gamble, but she was running out of options. She veered toward a cluster of crystals and activated her plasma cutter, slicing through the base of the largest formation. The structure groaned before collapsing, blocking part of the path behind her. It wouldn't stop the Watchers, but it might slow them down. Status of the downloaded coordinates, she asked, her breath ragged as she sprinted forward. Coordinates are fully decrypted, the AI replied. Destination approximately 1.2 kilometers ahead. Caution. Terrain becomes increasingly unstable. Ava nodded, adjusting her suit's stabilizers. The canyon floor began to shift beneath her feet, the ground cracking and hissing as pockets of gas escaped. She leaped over a fissure, her heart pounding as the sound of pursuing footsteps grew louder. The Watchers were relentless. Despite the damage they had sustained in the chamber, they were gaining on her. Ava's HUD flashed a warning. Hostile proximity. 50 meters. Damn it, she hissed. She reached into her toolkit and grabbed the last of the crystal shards she had collected. Activating a makeshift energy charge, she hurled it behind her. The resulting explosion lit up the canyon, sending a shockwave rippling through the air. Ava didn't stop to see the results. She kept running, her legs burning as the waypoint drew closer. Finally, she reached a break in the canyon. The ground leveled out, revealing an ancient structure embedded into the rock face. It was smaller than the Keeper's chamber, but no less impressive. The entrance was marked with the same glowing glyphs, and a faint energy field shimmered over the doorway. This must be it, Ava said, her voice filled with a mix of relief and urgency. AI, can I pass through the energy field? Analyzing. The AI responded. After a moment, it added, field is designed to allow access to those carrying the Zinthari artifact. Recommend immediate entry. Ava didn't need further encouragement. She sprinted through the energy field, feeling a brief resistance before it parted to let her through. The Watchers reached the field moments later, but the barrier held firm, sparking violently as they attempted to breach it. Ava allowed herself a moment to catch her breath, but she knew her reprieve was temporary. Inside, the air was different, cool, clean, and eerily still. The walls glowed softly, the glyphs shifting as if they were alive. At the center of the room was a pedestal, its surface engraved with patterns that matched the alien device. Ava approached cautiously, her every step echoing in the quiet space. The device in her toolkit vibrated slightly, as if responding to the room's energy. She placed it on the pedestal, and the entire chamber came to life. Holographic projections filled the air, displaying maps, schematics, and ancient texts. Ava stared in awe as the Zinthuri's legacy unfolded before her eyes. This is incredible," she whispered, reaching out to touch one of the holograms. It depicted a massive structure, larger than any human or alien station she had ever seen. The text below identified it as the Nexus, the repository of the Zinthuri's greatest knowledge and technology. The Keeper's voice returned, resonating through the chamber. "You have succeeded, human. The Nexus is the key to resisting the Watchers. But its location is perilous, hidden in the heart of an uncharted sector. The journey will test your resolve." Ava took a deep breath, her determination hardening. "I'll do whatever it takes. The Watchers can't have this." The hologram shifted, displaying a star map with the Nexus's location marked in the center. Ava downloaded the data into her suit's systems, knowing the journey ahead would be unlike anything she had faced before. The Watchers wouldn't stop until they claimed the Zinthuri's secrets, but Ava had something they didn't: a will to protect, not conquer. The energy field at the entrance flickered, and Ava's HUD flashed a warning. The Watchers were breaching the barrier. She turned to the pedestal, her mind racing. The room had to have a failsafe, a way to protect the knowledge if it was ever discovered. "Keeper," she said urgently, "can this place be destroyed?" "Yes," the Keeper replied. "Activating self-destruct will seal the chamber and ensure the Watchers cannot access its contents, but doing so will leave you exposed." Ava hesitated for only a moment. She had made it this far by taking risks, and she wasn't about to stop now. "Do it." The chamber began to shake as the Keeper initiated the sequence. The glyphs dimmed, and the holograms faded. Ava grabbed the device from the pedestal and bolted for the exit. The energy field had weakened, and the Watchers were forcing their way through. She activated her suit's boosters, propelling herself forward just as the chamber collapsed behind her. The shockwave threw her to the ground, but she scrambled to her feet, the device clutched tightly in her hand. The Watchers, disoriented by the explosion, didn't pursue immediately. Ava took advantage of the chaos, sprinting toward the nearest ridge. The star map burned brightly in her HUD, a reminder of her next destination. As she reached the ridge, she turned back briefly. The ancient chamber was gone, reduced to rubble. The Watchers stood amidst the ruins, their glowing eyes fixed on her retreating figure. Ava clenched her fists. The battle was far from over, but she had the upper hand. With the Zinthuri's secrets in her possession, and the coordinates to the Nexus, Ava knew her journey was just beginning. But one thing was certain: she wouldn't let the Watchers win. The fate of the galaxy depended on it.